ለመማር ወደ ትምህርት ተቋም መሄድ ግድ አይደለም። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
ራሳችሁን ከኮሮና ቫይረስ ወረርሽኝ እየጠበቃችሁ በቤታችሁ ወይም በተመቻችሁ ቦታ በኢንተርኔት አማካኝነት በኦንላይን ትምህርታችሁን መከታተል ትችላላችሁ።
ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና ከእንግሊዙ ኢንስቲትዩት ኦፍ ኮመርሻል ማኔጅመንት ICM ጋር በመተባበር የሚሰጡ ትምህርቶችን ተከታትላችሁ በ6 ወር ጊዜ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ተቀባይነት ያለውን የስልጠና ማስረጃ ባለቤት መሆን ይቻላል።
ልምድ ባላቸው መምህራን እየተማራችሁ ጥያቄና መልስ የክፍል ስራዎች ፈተና መፈተን ክፍል ውስጥ እንዳላችሁት አይነት በኦንላይን ባላችሁበት ቦታ ከናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ
Hello students, now I'll start our social anthropology. So in the previous time we have discussed about chapter 4 entitled with marginalized minorities and vulnerable groups. So I think it makes sense if we start from the question, what is marginalization? What is marginalization is the question. What's marginalization? I think it makes sense if we start from the question. Marginalized groups, marginalization. Meron? Is someone?
Is summer.
Okay, go ahead. What is marginalization is the question now. I start from the previous. Meron? What is marginalization? Yes? So marginalization, it is a treatment of a person or social group as minor, insignificant, and unworthy. This is called marginalization. You may be asked such kind of question, what's marginalization? Define marginalization. It is a treatment of a person or social group as minor, insignificant, and unworthy. This is marginalization. Who are mostly marginalized? Who are mostly marginalized in Ethiopia case? Yes?
Can I answer?
Okay, now you, yeah.
People with low amount of income or low economical background.
Meaning those poor?
Yes.
Okay. Who else?
And based on their religion.
Okay.
And culture.
Culture in a sense, what? Culture. All culture are equal based on relativist point of view. But, Nabiyu,
I mean,
the most marginalized people. Yes.
By cultural innocence, you know, these small people who perform these unique rituals, like different from other people, very different, like out of the society. People who do such kind of things. That's what I mean by culture.
Very good. Small number, minority groups. Very good.
Yes.
Who are mostly marginalized? Women is the first one. Children, older people, and disabilities. There are able people, there are disabled people. Disabilities, handicapped people. Okay? Once someone is handicapped, people could not see as able person. Religious, ethnic, and racial minorities are also marginalized people. So who are marginalized people? So women is the first one, the second one is children, the third one is older people, and the fourth one is those disabilities. These are marginalized people, not only in Ethiopia, but also the whole world as well. Vulnerability, these are also terminology. We are talking about so many times in the previous time. Vulnerability, vulnerable groups who needs special attention, who needs care and support. Vulnerability. So what do you have vulnerability? Can you define vulnerable groups? Yes. Vulnerability. Vulnerable groups, the state of being exposed to injuries, either emotional, physical. Vulnerable persons or groups need special attention, as I told you, protection and support. These are the forms of vulnerability. What are the forms of marginalization is the question now. Forms of marginalization. Mind you, we define marginalized groups. What is marginalization? Who are marginalized? What do my vulnerability? And what are the forms of marginalization is the next question now. What are the forms of marginalization? Forms. Let me give you one. Occupation is one. የስራ ሁኔታ ተመሳሳይ ስራ የሚሰሩ ሰዎች ነገር ግን የተለያየ ክፍያ የሚከፈላቸው ሰዎች በጾታ particular laborers for example በግንብ የሚሰሩ ግንበኞች occupation is one. The other one is age and the fourth one is gender based ስርዓተ ጾታ ጾታ አይደለም ያልኩት ስርዓተ ጾታ. I'm not talking about sex, but gender. Gender in a sense, numeric equivalent word, sra'at zota. So what are the forms of marginalization? The first one is occupational, occupation. The second one is age level. The third one is gender-based discrimination or marginalization. Exclusion of subgroups from wider opportunities. These are the points that we have discussed so far or in the previous time. And today, we'll consider about marginalization of religious and ethnic minorities. We'll discuss today. The marginalization and discrimination targeting religious and ethnic minorities in the world. So this marginalization and discrimination target two very important areas. Religion, and second one is ethnic minorities, what Nabi says from the beginning. So we will see two examples, by the way. The first example were really marginalized because of their ethnicity, the Jewish people. The Jewish people, አይሁዳውያን በጀርመኖች ወይም በሌላ አውሮፓውያን ሀገሮች. This Jewish people suffered from discrimination and persecution in different parts of the world. Have you heard about የአና ማስታወሻ አና ሜሞራንደም the Anna diaries? አንብባችሁታል? የአና ማስታወሻ?
Yes.
Yeah. She suffered a lot. She was a teenager, የ13 ዓመት ልጅ. Yeah. So they were targets of extermination in Germany and other Western European countries because of what? Because of their identity, by the way. Where they are coming from? Where are the origins? Particularly the Germans, which written black spot in history. This is the point. The other one is Muslims, Rohingyans, one of the most ill-treated and persecuted refugee groups in the world. So I gave you two very important examples. One, the Jewish people suffered from different parts of European countries, particularly the Germans, Adolf Hitler. So 6 million Jewish, yes, they do have memorandum today in Germany. 6 ሚሊዮን አይሁዳውያን ቀብር ስለ አላት ጀርመን ውስጥ ማለት ነው አሁን ሰዓት. Yes, just one of the site of tourist attraction today in Germany as well. 6 ሚሊዮን አይሁዳውያን ቀብራቸው የተቀበረበት ቦታ. Yes, ስማቸው ሁሉ ተመዝግቦ ያለበት ቦታ ማለት ነው. So Muslim Iranians, one of the most ill-treated persecuted refugee groups in the world. By now, more than 500,000 Iranians fled their homes in Myanmar to neighboring countries such as Bangladesh. The people of Myanmar, because of their Muslim religions, yes, they suffer a lot. They are marginalized. You see, persecuted refugees. When some groups are refugees, they're exposed to what? Sexual abuse, at the same time, physical abuse. This is the point. So these two examples. Let me give you an example. We are talking about 20 years back in Africa. One of the countries, we call it Rwanda. The people of Hutu and the people of Tutsi, they fight one another so murderously and mercilessly. The main enemy were not men, women, or children from the border, but men, women, or children to the next door. People are similar, mind you, the same culture, same language, same ethnic background, they fight one another so murderously and mercilessly. Rwanda people. There are people who left to tell the tale. ተረት ነጋሪዎች ማለት ነው። የተረፉ አሉ። የዛሬ 20 ዓመት ማለት ነው። አፍሪካ ውስጥ ሩዋንዳ ሁቱና ቱትሲ racial background 85% of Rwanda were Hutu, 14% of Rwanda were Tutsi, 85% Hutu እና 14% Tutsi ሁለቱ racial background they fight one another. ይሄም አንድ ትልቅ ጥፋት በሬስ የመጣ ትልቅ ችግር እንደሆነ ለመግለጽ ፈልጌ ነው። Anthropology appreciates cultural diversity and commonality. Do you remember the meaning of cultural relativism? It is one of the guiding principles, okay? Guiding principle. This guiding principle of social anthropology, meaning of cultural relativism. We appreciate cultural relativism. Yes. We discourage ethnocentrism as I told you. It's about the importance of understanding the values, norms, customs, and practice of a particular culture in its own context. This is called cultural relativism. ብዙ ጊዜ የተነጋገርነው ነው። Cultural relativism direct opposite ደግሞ cultural ethnocentrism ያለው ማለት ነው። የኔ የተሻለ ነው ብለን እናስብ። የኔ religion. What's the role of religion? የሪሊጅን ጥቅም እስኪ ንገሩኝ። What's the role of religion now? Religion is one of the social institutions. I gave you 5 institutions. 5 institutions ነግሬያቸዋለሁ ባለፈው። School ብያለሁ። Family ሊጀምር ከመጀመሪያ smallest unit, the basic unit, very important unit ብዬ family, school, religion, okay, economy and government ብዬ 5 ብያለሁ። 5 institutions. Religion is one of the institutions. What's the role of religion? የሪሊጅን ጥቅም ምንድን ነው? ነብዩ ሃይማኖት ለምንድን ነው?
Yes, it helps people to behave themselves and act correctly in the society, to interact with others peacefully and harmoniously.
Okay. This is a function of religion. The role of religion. Very good. Yes. Religion ነብዩ ያለው ነው። ሁለት ፋንክሽኖች አሉት religion. አንደኛው covert function፣ ሁለተኛው overt function ምንለው። overt ምንለው obvious ግልጽ የሆነ የሥራ ድርሻ ነው። ግልጽ የሆነ overt obvious ከሚለው covert cover hidden ምንለው ድብቅ የሥራ ድርሻ ደግሞ አለ። ድብቅ ፋንክሽን አለ። የመጀመሪያው overt function obvious, it teaches the community moral ethics, what ነብዩ says. etiquette, you know, moral etiquette, ጨዋነት ማለት ነው። etiquette ጨዋነት፣ ግብረ ገብነት። Second, it helps to develop tolerance for the poor. Religion is very important. Yes. Very important to live harmoniously, what Nabi said. Harmonious relationship with others. The poor and the rich, they are living together. ሀብታሞች ባለጸጎች እግዚአብሔር ጸጋ የሰጣቸው ለድሆች ነው ብሎ እንዲያምን ያደርጋል። The rich, yes, in the castle. The poor at the main gate. The footman ማለት ነው። ድሃ ተስፋ የሚያደርገው በዚህ በጎዳ በሰማያዊ ቤቴ ተስፋ አለኝ ብሎ ያስባል። በሃይማኖት ካላሰበ እኮ አስቸጋሪ ይሆናል። ቶለራንስ it develop tolerance, compromising, ትዕግስት እንዲኖር ማድረግ፣ ተስፋ እንዳይቆርጥ ነው። ሌላ ተስፋ አለ ብሎ ያስባል። ሌላ ህይወት አለ። በምድራዊ ህይወት ባይመቸኝ በሌላው ደግሞ ቀጥላለሁ ብሎ ያስባል። This is the role of religion, by the way. This is what the overt function. What about the cover or the hidden function of religion? ድብቅ ደግሞ አሁን የሥራ ድርሻ አለው ሪሊጅን። ምን ይመስላችኋል? እስኪ ንገሩኝ። ሊዲያ do you have something to say? ሜሮን የሪሊጅን ሂድን ፋንክሽን ነው።
እኔ ልመልስ?
why not?
ውስጣዊ ሰላም እንዲኖረን ያደርጋል። እና ምን ጊዜም ተስፋ ከመቁረጥ እንትን እንላለን። ምክንያቱም ማንኛውም ሃይማኖት ተስፋ መቁረጥን ስለሚያወግዝ ተስፋ መቁረጥን እንትን እንላለን ማለት ነው።
ግን ይሄኛው ድብቁ ሳይሆን ግልጽ የሆነው ፋንክሽን ነው የነገርሽኝ። የሃይማኖት ትልቁ ስራ ምንድነው? የመጀመሪያው ስራ ተስፋ የቆረጠው ተስፋ እንዲያደርጉ ነው። this is what the overt means obvious ግልጽ የሆነው የሃይማኖት ስራ ድርሻ። ድብቅ የሆነው ግን ሌላ ነው። hidden function, it is a place where you develop friendship. Okay, you develop friendship, develop couples. The two couples, they will come under one umbrella in the future. አልሰማችሁም? ዘማሪ ነበር ይላል እኮ ባልና ሚስት ሆነው በኋላ አብረን እዚህ ቤተክርስቲያን ተገናኘን፣ ከዚህ ተዋወቀን፣ ከዚህኛው ቸርች ተገናኘን ይላል። So the hidden function of religion is to develop friendship. The rest is overt function. So having said this, cultural relativism is very essential. And this requires appreciating the lifestyle of others, including their dressing style, food habits, belief, rituals, and celebration. It also requires avoiding value judgment. Yes, it's not good value judgment, such as saying this custom is backward or primitive, and that one is, yes, civilized or advanced. Don't say like that. This is the nature of cultural ethnocentrism. But cultural relativism, it avoids value judgment. Don't compare other culture by your own, which is difficult to compare and contrast two cultures. Yes, if you compare and contrast, yes, to know their differences. Otherwise, mine is better. It is not good as anthropologist. So this custom is backward or primitive, and that one is civilized or modern. This does not mean that we need to appreciate every custom and every practices. So this is all about chapter 4, and today we'll continue about unit 5. It's the last chapter, identity, inter-ethnic relation, and multiculturalism in Ethiopia. This is the last chapter of anthropology. Now we'll continue this chapter today. What's ethnicity? What is race? Ethnicity and race. Some people, yes, they are taking these two as the same. But after the end of the Second World War, words like ethnicity, ethnic groups, ethnic conflict, and nationalism have become quite common terms in English language, and they keep cropping up in the press, in media, in political programs, and in a casual conversation. So this is race and ethnicity. They become more developed after the Second World War. 35 of the 37 major armed conflicts in the world in 1991 were internal conflicts, and most of them from Sri Lanka to Northern Ireland could possibly be described as ethnic conflict. Mind you, from 37 major armed conflicts in the world, in 1991, 35 of them was just the cause of what? Ethnic conflicts. So this ethnic conflict is very difficult unless we handle it carefully. The two conflicts or the disputes. Dispute is there, by the way. Conflict is a must. Yes, there is conflict. But The point is, how do you handle conflict is the question. How do you handle it? How do you manage the conflict? This is a very important point. Otherwise, conflict is there. Conflict at home, conflict at school, conflict in the university, yes, conflict in politics. It's a must. What's very important is wise people, yes, they handle it carefully. They manage carefully. So negotiation, compromisation, or any other criteria. The English origin of the term ethnicity is connected to the term ethnic, which is much older and has been in use since the Middle Age. The word is derived from the Greek term ethnos, ethnic, Greek ethnos, which in turn derived from the Latin word ethnikos, which literally means a group of people bound together by the same manner, custom, or other distinctive features. This is the point. Group of people bound together, come together, you see, by the same manner, same custom, or other distinctive features like language maybe. All these are ethnic background or ethnicity. In the context of ancient Greek, the term refers to collectivity of humans lived and acted together, which is typically translated today as people or nation, not political unit. We call it ethnic group. People with a shared commonality. Contrary to its literal meaning, however, ancient Greeks were using the term ethnos in practice to refer the non-Hellenic people. What do I mean Hellenic? Non-Hellenic means non-Greek. People coming from outside Greek, they call them non-Hellenic people, who are non-Greek and considered as second-class people. You know, first class, second-class people. First citizen, second citizen. First class, second class. Second-class people. Like in early England, it is used to refer someone who was neither Christian nor Jewish to refer to as pagan. Pagan. What do you mean pagan? What do you mean pagan?
ጣዖት አምላኪ
ጣዖት አምላኪ
ሃይማኖት የሌለው
የስ ጣዖት አምላኪማ መለከ ማለት እኮ ነው። ምንም የሌለው ማለት ነው። ፔጋን ዝም ብሎ እንዳለ ሃይማኖት የለሽ pagan people. Ethnicity. Before World War II, while the term tribe was the term of choice for pre-modern societies. Tribe, before the Second World War, maybe. Second World War, in essence, 1944. Before 1940s, the term tribe, yes, meaning pre-modern societies, whereas the term race is modern societies. I mean, compare pre-modern, modern. So before Second World War, as I told you, tribe refers to what? Pre-modern, not modern. Race used to refer to modern societies. Due to the close link between the term race and Nazi ideology, yes, after the end of Second World War, the term ethnic gradually replaced race. Because ethnic background replaced race after the end of Second World War. The term ethnic, the Aryan race, the German people, የተመረጥን ዘሮች ነን, the Germans, because their culture, right? The way how they perceive about themselves, the Aryan race, the Germans, ምርጥ ዘሮች ብለው የሚያስቡ ራሳቸው ነው. So this was the North American tradition and the European tradition. Race becomes the dominant one. Ethnicity is vague, elusive, and expansive term. You know, elusive, not tangible. You might assess, you might chabbat. This is vague. Vague terminology, an elusive terminology, and expansive, meaning spread very quickly. Expansive term, spread very quickly all over the world. None of the founding fathers of anthropology and sociology, except one, Max Weber, yes, with partial exception of Max Weber, granted ethnicity much attention. Max Weber, in his work entitled Economy and Society, first, yes, published in 1922. According to Weber, an ethnic group is based on the belief in common descent shared by its neighbor. Descent, the common descent shared by its members, extending beyond kinship, political solidarity, and other groups. We call it ethnic groups, according to Max Weber. Max Weber is a famous anthropologist, of course. So these common customs, language, religion, values, morality, and etiquette. What's the etiquette? Yes, ethical code. Etiquette. In other words, ethnic groups are those human groups that entertain subjective belief in their common descent because of similarity or physical type. Similarity or physical type of custom, or both because of memories of colonization and migration. It does not matter whether or not an objective blood relationship exists, but whether it is believed to exist. The next great contribution to our understanding of ethnicity comes from the influential work of the Norwegian anthropologist named Frederick Bass. Frederick Bass, exceptionally brilliant introduction, part of the collection of a scholarly work entitled Ethnic Groups and Boundaries. Bass focused not upon the cultural characteristics of ethnic groups, but upon the relationship of cultural differentiation, and especially upon contact between collectivities, thus differentiated us and them. Bass' emphasis was not so much upon the substance or content of ethnicity, what he called the cultural stuff, as upon the social processes which produce and reproduce, which organize, if you like, boundaries of identification and differentiation between ethnic collectivities. As illustrated by Bass, it is important to recognize that although ethnic categories, yes, take cultural difference into account. So cultural differences usually take into account for the importance of ethnic categories. Usually the culture varies from one place to another, culture varies from one society to the other society, or one community from the other community. These cultural differences take into account in the case of ethnic categories. This is in relation to this Norwegian anthropologist. The cultural content of ethnic dichotomies, or dichotomy hence division, would seem analytically to be two orders. What are these two orders? One, overt signal or signs. Overt. What do you mean overt? Obvious. Guilt. Overt signals. Overt.
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድ እና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
Thus features people look for and exhibit to show identity. What are these features? Dress styles, the dressing styles, the language, house form, or general style of life. All these are overt signals. What kind of homes they build, what kind of homes they build. Yes, you see, these are the general features. So overt signals include dress, dressing styles, combing styles, hearing styles, meaning language, house form, yes, the design of the house. All these are overt signals or signs. The second one is basic value orientation. What are these? The standard of morality and excellence by which performance is judged. Morality and excellence by which performance is judged. So just you have the cultural content of ethnic dichotomies would seem analytically to be two orders are there. The first one is overt. Overt means signals what we see. What we see. ምናየው ማለት ምንድን ነው ምናየው? አለባበስ ስርዓታችን፣ አመጋገባችን፣ ቋንቋችን፣ የቤት አሰራራችን፣ house form, style of life. All these are overt signals. Basic value orientation. Value. This is about morality and excellence. Yes, everyone perform for judgment. We call it basic value orientation. Since belonging to an ethnic category implies being a certain kind of person, having that basic identity, it also implies a claim to be judged and to judge oneself by those standards that are relevant to that identity. Neither of this kind of cultural contents follow from a descriptive list of cultural features or cultural differences. One cannot predict from first principles which features will be emphasized and made organizationally relevant by the actors. How do you judge someone if he keeps silent, for example? And so ዝም ቢል ምንድን ነው እንዴት ነው ጀጅ የምታደርጉት? አያወራም፣ አይናገርም። How do you judge him? Can you say something about this person? How do you judge?
By his actions.
Yes, Rodas?
አክሽኑን በማየት ጃጅ እናደርጋለን።
አክሽን በማየት yes ወይም ሲናገር ማለት ወይም ሲያወራ ሲናገር ሐሳቡን ሲገልጽ otherwise if he keeps silent how can you differentiate him? So it is very difficult. So list of cultural features or cultural differences, one cannot predict from first principles which features will be emphasized and made organizationally relevant. This is the point. So before bias, cultural difference was traditionally explained from the inside out social groups possess different cultural characteristics. Inside out, you see, which makes them unique and distinct. Inside out, common language. From inside out, right? Utterances, words that you speak, utterance. በምትፈጥሯቸው ቃሎች በምትናገሯቸው በምታወሯቸው ከሰዎች ጋር የምትግባቡባቸው ነገሮች ሁሉ common language, lifestyle, descent, religion and physical markers, history and eating habits. All these are what? Inside out. Explained from the inside out. ከውስጥ ወደ ውጭ የምንላቸው ናቸው. Inside out. He defined and explained ethnicity from the outside in also. Inside out, what we speak, yes, inside out. But outside in, it's not the possession of cultural characteristics that makes social groups distinct, but rather it is a social interaction with other groups that makes that difference possible, visible, and socially meaningful. You see? Outside in, inside out. Inside out, the language that you speak, the words that you make, your action. Yes, inside in. Outside in. Outside in. Yes, social interaction with other groups. Outside in. ውጫዊ ነው ያው እናንተ ያላችሁ ግንኙነት በቀን ከስንት ሰው ጋር ትገናኛላችሁ? በሳምንት ከስንት ሰዎች ጋር ትገናኛላችሁ? ታስባላችሁ? ምናልባት የምታስታውሱ ከሆነ a person having 20 interpersonal contact in a week is just supported than a person having 10 interpersonal contact in a week. በሳምንት ከ20 ሰው ጋር የሚገናኝ ሰውና በሳምንት 10 ሰው ጋር የሚገናኝ ሰው የትኛው ሰው ተጠቃሚ ይሆናል ያልኳችሁ? ጸጋነሽ የሰማሽ ነው? ሱባ ነው? Faisal?
It's a person who have 30 interactions with a person.
A person having how many percent?
30 ከ30 ሰው ጋር ኢንተራክሽን ያለው ሰው ሞር ተጠቃሚ ይሆናል።
ለምን ይመስልሻል?
ምክንያቱም 30 ሰው ባገኘ ቁጥር ያለውን ነገር ከ30 ሰው ጋር ሼር ያደርጋል። የነሱንም የ30ውን ሰው ባህሪና የ30ውን ሰው ያናናር ዘዴና የ30ውን ሰው ብዙ ነገር አክሴፕት ማድረግ ይችላልና ሼር ማድረግ ይችላል። ከ10 ሰው ጋር ሲሆን ግን ሊሚትድ ይሆናል። ወይ የ10 ሰው ያወቀውን ሰው ያክል ልክ ነገር ነው ማወቅ የሚችለው።
Very excellent. Yes. The more you have social network, the more you'll be beneficiary. Because you can share ideas, feelings, what you have. Share ማድረግ ነው. Every opportunity is either to teach or to learn. Every human relation is either to teach or to learn. እያንዳንዱ ግንኙነታችን ሰዎች ጋር ወይም መማር ማስተማር ከሰው. This is the point. So outside in ያልኳችሁ ነው. Inside out. ከናንተ የሚወጣው ነገር language ያለው outside in ደግሞ ከውጭ ያለው ግንኙነት possession of cultural characteristics that makes social groups distinct, but rather it is a social interaction with other groups that makes that difference possible, visible, and socially meaningful. ብቻውን የሚኖር ሰው የለም. Nobody can live on island. ደሴት ላይ የሚኖር ሰው የለም. ሰው የሚኖረው ከሰው ጋር ሆነ የሰው መድኃኒቱ ሰው ነው እንላለን። That's why socially meaningful. ሙሉ የሚሆነው socially, yes, interact ሲያደርግ interaction, social interaction. This is the point. So you have to identify, yes, inside out, outside in. Inside out, yes, the language that you speak, the words or utterances, and outside in is simply what? Social interaction. Baz research established a foundation for understanding ethnicity in the universities rather than in particularist term. This is in spite of the difference in scholarly views of ethnicity among anthropologists, the basic social anthropological model of ethnicity can be summarized as follows. What is ethnicity? Ethnicity is a matter of cultural differentiation. Although to reiterate the main themes of social identity, identification always involves, yes, a dialectical interplay between similarity and differences. So identification, how do we identify? Identification is usually play with between similarity and differences. What's the similarity? What kind of commonalities they share in common? And what are those differences? Yes, this is the point. So ethnicity is centrally a matter of shared meanings, what we conventionally call culture. You know culture? Culture is shared meaning. Culture is learned. Culture is shared meaning. You know the quality of culture. You see? But it's also produced and reproduced during interaction, during connection, connectivity. Yes. So this is the point. It is produced and reproduced during interaction. When you are interacting with your friends, when you are interacting with your community or your neighborhood, yes, it's you produce and reproduce through interaction, the process of interaction. Ethnicity is no more fixed or unchanging than the way of life of which it is an aspect or the situation in which it is produced and reproduced. So interaction is very essential. Interaction. When you interact with one another, you develop new ideas, new feelings. This is the point. Ethnicity is an identification, is collective and individual externalized in social interaction, and that categorization of others and internalized in personal self-identification. This is the point. You identify. Identification. Ethnicity is your identity. Identity. Yes. Your identity, just like your ID card. Ethnicity is an identity. We are Ethiopians. We are not Congolese. We are not Sudanese or Kenyans. Yes, we are Ethiopians. This is an identity, our identity. Ethnicity is not single unified social phenomenon, but congests of family, of related, but analytically distinct phenomenon. Distinct, different. The foundation of ethnicity the markers of ethnicity, the history of ethnicity, the aim and goals of ethnicity. This vary from case to case or from place to place. This is the point. The concept of ethnic group is the most basic, from which the others are derivative. It refers to ethnicity as a collective phenomenon. Ethnic identity refers to ethnicity as an individually experienced phenomenon. Ethnicity itself is an abstract concept, not tangible concept. It is elusive. It is vague terminology. It is elusive terminology. Yes, it is highly spread all over the world. Ethnic identity refers to ethnicity as an individually experienced phenomenon. Ethnicity itself is an abstract concept which includes an implicit reference to both collective and individual aspects of phenomenon. We call it ethnicity. According to Weber, an ethnic group, Max Weber, at least in Soviet, the famous anthropologist, ethnic group is built on the belief in common descent shared by its members, extending beyond kinship, political solidarity, and other groups and common customs, language, religion, values, morality, and etiquette, meaning moral code of conduct. Anderson 1983, in his part, described ethnic groups are imagined community that possess a character and quality. Possess character and possess quality. This is based on Anderson. Shermerholm, on the other hand, conceptualized ethnic group as a unit of population having unique characteristics in relation with others, binding with common language, means of origin, and history of ethnic allegiance. We call it ethnic group according to Shermerholm. Baz defined ethnic groups as self-defined group based on subjective factors and fundamental cultural values chosen by members from their past history or present existing condition in which members are aware of and in contact with other ethnic groups. We call it ethnic groups are defined out of group interaction in which members of a group keep their social solidarity, identify themselves as belonging to specific groups. Belonging, this is mine, this is ours. Yes, Ethiopia, it's our country, belongs to ours. So ethnic groups, belongingness is very important. የኔ የሚለው ነገር አብሮ መምጣት አለበት። የኔ የኛ አይደል? It is ours, it is mine, it is ours. So belonging to specific groups based on their subjective communalities, language, means of origin, shared cultural entities that define the difference with others. The Battle of Adwa, ብላችሁ ምንድን ነው ይመጣላችሁ? Yes, it belongs to ours. Yeah, the history of Ethiopia belongs to ours. Our forefathers beat Italians in 1890s. Sorry. This is belongingness, which is really very essential terminologies. Now, we'll continue 6 main definition of an ethnic group. The first one is a common proper name. Common proper name to identify and express the essence of community. Yes, common proper name. 6 main features of the definition of ethnic groups. 6 features አሉት ethnic group ሊይዛቸው የሚችሉ ነገሮች። አንደኛው a common proper name. Common proper name. Okay? This identify and express the essence of the community. Second one, a means of common ancestry. Common ancestors. Means, legend, avatar econo. 2000 years ago, 1000 years ago, either referring from the Bible, yes, or from the real document, a means of common ancestry that includes the idea of common origin in time and place, and that gives ethnic groups sense of fictive kinship. The third one, shared historical memories. Shared historical memories. Historical memory. These memories, their attachment. Where are you from? We are from Ethiopians. Now, which is ብዙ ኢትዮጵያውያን ብቻ አይደሉም፣ ሌላም ሀገር ከሀገር ተሰብሮ ሲሄድ የሚያጡት ነገር ምንድን ነው? ሜሞሪ ነው። ሼርድ ሂስቶሪካል ሜሞሪስ ነው። አታችመንቱን just like a placenta which attaches the fetus from the mother as a common good ማለት common good placenta ጽንስን ከእናት እንደሚያያዘው ሜሞሪስ አለ አታችመንት ያደግነበት የኖርነበት ኢትዮጵያውያን shared historical memories ይዘን የመጣነው ሜሞሪ ምንድን ነው? አታችመንታችን ምንድን ነው? ከኢትዮጵያ ጋር ያለ shared historical memories or better shared memories of common past including heroes, yes, hero or heroes, events and their commemoration, ማስታወሻዎች. The holiday of Mascal, yes, we celebrate after a week, for example. New Year, the Ethiopian Easter. These are events, heroes and hero. ጀግኖቻችን እነዚህ ሁሉ የምናስታውሳቸው ሂስቶሪካል ሜሞሪስ ሌጀንደሪዎች አይኮኖቻችን ናቸው። አይኮኖቻችን What's the first thing coming to mind when I'm talking about the Battle of Adwa? Brooke? What's the first thing coming to mind when I'm talking about the Battle of Adwa, for example?
Maybe victory.
Yes, ድላችን ነው። ያ ኮን shared historical memories. The first thing coming to my mind when I'm talking about the Battle of Adwa is Emperor Minilik, at the same time Empress Aitu. But there are also heroes, number of heroes, yes, who lost their life for the mother country, Ethiopia. The fourth feature, one or more elements of common culture, which need not be specified, but normally include religion, custom, and language. One or more elements of common culture. Of course, religion, custom, Ethiopian custom, Ethiopian culture, custom, Ethiopian culture, of course. This culture, in different pocket areas, it varies from one place to another, in the case of tradition, custom, and the like. Ethiopian language, one or more elements of common culture, አራተኛው feature. አምስተኛ, a link with a homeland, not necessarily its physical occupation by the ethnic group, only its symbolic attachment to the ancestral land, as with diaspora people. And the last one is a sense of solidarity. Yes, coming together, helping one another, አንድነት, ወንድማማችነት, solidarity, a sense of solidarity. So all these are the feature of ethnic groups. Ethnic identification. Identity is just like ID ብያቸዋል። መታወቂያቸው አይደለም አይዴንቲቲያቸው። ethnic ሀገር ethnic identity. Where are you from ብያቸዋለሁ። This is an identity, ማንነት መገለጫችን ነው። It is an affiliate construct where an individual is viewed by themselves, by others, as belonging to a particular ethnic or cultural group. Where are you from? I am from Congolese, the Congo ሰው. I am coming from Sudanese. I am from Sudanese. Yes, Sudan. Okay, I am from Ethiopia. So belonging to a particular ethnic or cultural group, an individual can choose to associate with a group, especially if others' choice are available. The person is of mixed ethnic or racial heritage, affiliation can be influenced by racial, natal, natal. What does it mean, natal? Will
Related with mother.
Yes, natal. Of course, prenatal, postnatal case mean natal, ከወሊድ ጋር የተያዘ symbolic and cultural factors. Racial factors involve those of physiognomic. Physiognomic means yes, facial, የፌስ ቅርጽ የፊት ቅርጽ ማለት ነው። Racial factors. The use of what? Physiognomic and physical characteristics. Natal factors refers to homeland, ancestral home, origins of individuals, their parent, and kin. Symbolic factors. Symbols. Man is different from the other because man is symbolic, as I told last time. Only man can use symbol. ምልክት, ባንዲራ, flag, yes, cross. Symbolic factors. Sorry. Includes those factors that typify or exemplify an ethnic group, holidays, foods, yes, favorite food, for example, staple food crops, staple food for Ethiopia, teff, jarabot, staple food for Ethiopia, clothing, you see, central food, yes, for a person having a central food, it may be marginal food for others. And then what time? Favorite marginalized food. Marginal. This is the point. Symbolic holiday. Yeah. Holiday is symbolic. Holiday. The next point is individual level. Ethnicity is a social psychological process which gives an individual a sense of belonging and identity. It is one of a number of social phenomena which produce sense of identity. Ethnic identity can be defined as a manner in which a person or an account of their ethnic origin locates themselves psychologically in relation to one or more social systems in which they perceive others as locating them in relation to those systems. This is what ethnic identity. By ethnic origin, it means either that a person has been socialized in an ethnic group or that his or her ancestors, real or symbolic, have been members of their group. This is ethnic identity. Locating oneself in relation to the community and society is not only a psychological phenomenon, but also a social phenomenon. In the sense that the internal psychological states express themselves objectively in external behavior, pattern, yes, that come to be shared by others. This is the idea. So we can thus distinguish external and internal aspects of ethnic identity. Ethnic identity. This ethnic identity external aspects refer to observable behaviors, external aspects, observable behaviors, both cultural and social. What are these observable behaviors? Observable. የሚታይ አይደለም? Observable behaviors. Can you give me an example of observable behaviors? Brooke?
Behavior that can be overt.
Yes, behavior that can be observed. That
can be
behavior that,
overtly seen.
yes. Can you give me an example?
Like dressing style.
Excellent. Dressing styles, language even, yes, traditions. These are observable behaviors. Participation in ethnic personal networks, such as family and friendship. Participation in ethnic personal network. Participation in ethnic institutional organizations, such as churches, schools, enterprise, media. All these participations are visible. Participation in ethnic voluntary associations, such as club, societies, youth organization, and participation in functions sponsored by ethnic organizations. This all are visible. Now, in which areas do you want to participate as volunteer workers? Suppose you do have a chance or an opportunity to join. So in which areas do you want to participate as a volunteer workers? Milkisa? As a social worker? As a solution of anthropology? In which areas do you want to participate? Personally, you have wider opportunities, I think. We Ethiopians, okay? So in which areas do you want to participate? Lydia?
Yes, sir.
In which
I
areas
think
do you want to
in
participate?
charities.
In
Charities.
charity organizations.
Yeah.
In charity. Charity or in philanthropist. Okay. Darik? Darik? Okay, Brooke? I saw you from the screen.
Possible, it's better to participate in all forms of participation, but as for me,
Okay.
better to participate in function-sponsored ethnic organization.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I think your idea is good, but it's very difficult to participate in all areas freely. One, you could not get time. You see? You could not be active. If person is participating in 2 or 3 areas, he will not perform well, isn't it?
Of course.
So which areas is your preference? Brooke?
Maybe participation in family relationship.
Okay, okay, because there are ill family relationship. ብዙ ጊዜ ፋሚሊ ሪሌሽንሽፕ እውነቱን ነው። ዲቮርስ አሁን ጋር በባልና ሚስት መካከል ያለ ፍቺ ነው አሁን ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ያለ ችግር። አብሶ 2 ከተማዎች በነገራችሁ ሐዋሳ and Addis Ababa. You see, of course, that's our reason, which I could not mention now. 2 areas, yes, divorce is very, very serious case. So, Brooke, you want us to participate as volunteer workers, tying family relationship. Good. Who else? Milkisa? Milkisa? Yeah? Is there anyone? Voluntary? You don't need to participate in volunteer workers? You perform every activity only by payment? This an idea, huh? In which areas do you want to participate freely? Meaning, because we Ethiopians, we suffer a lot. You see, blood donation, for example, blood donation, sanitary, yes, headache problem here in Addis, for example, in different community, sanitary case, granting all clothes for the needy, yes, working with autism, all these are street children's, it's very difficult areas. These are some of the points. The internal aspect of ethnic identity refers to image. Internal, external. Internal, image, ideas, attitudes, and feelings. From inside, internal, inside. What's the idea? What's your perception? What's your feeling? What's your attitude? Internal feeling. The internal ideas. Internal aspects of ethnic identity. But it should not be assumed that empirically the 2 types of always dependent upon each other. Rather, they may vary independently as A third generation person may retain a higher degree of internal than external aspects. Higher degree of internal than external aspects. We can distinguish at least 3 types of internal aspects of identity. What are these internal? 3 aspects are there. One is cognitive aspect. The second one is moral aspect. The third one is affiliation, affective domain. Moral judgment. This is the point. Race, the social construction of racial identity. Ziga እንቆማለን። Assignment is ሰጥቻችኋለሁ። Did I give you assignment?
አልደረሰንም ሚስተር።
በኢሜል ይላክላችኋል ተብሎ ነበር አልተላከም።
ነው አይደል?
ያ
ኦኬ። ስለዚህ ዛሬ አንድ ነገር አሳይመንት አለ ዛሬ ይላክላችኋል። ኔክስት ደግሞ ሁለተኛው አሳይመንት ይላክላችኋል። የተዘጋጀው ሁለት ዛሬ አንዱን ታገኛላችሁ። በኢሜል አድሬሴ ማለት ነው ያላችሁ 30% ነው የሚይዘው። ሰምታችሁኛል? ሄሎ የሰማችሁ ነው?
አዎ ይሰማል።
30% ነው የሚይዘው። በደንብ ስሩት። it carries 30%. ኦኬ። ስለዚህ የጨረስን ስለሆነ ነው ይሄንን ቶፒክ አንድ ቅዳሜ ነው አገኛችሁ የሚችለው። ስለዚህ አሁን ትላችኋለሁ ማለት ነው። if you have any question, welcome before we disperse.
Sure.
Yes.
ማቴሪያል ተልኳል።
PowerPoint አልደረሳችሁም? እሱ
አልደረሰኝም። እኔ
ግን ሌሎቹ ያላቸው ይመስለኛል። ሼር ተደርገዋል ይመስለኛል።
ቴሌግራም ላይ ቻናል አለ።
ደርሷችሁ አልሷል?
ቴሌግራም ላይ ቻናል አለ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን የሚል እዛ ላይ ማግኘት ትችላላችሁ።
ኦኬ። ስለዚህ ያው ሊዲያ እንዳለችው እሱን በረግንቱም ብታገኙት ጥሩ ነው። በሾርት ፕሪሳይስ ጊዜ ተወስዶ የተዘጋጀ ፓወርፖይንት ነው ያለው። አይታችሁት ከሆነ ምናልባት ሰምታችሁኛል? whatever the case አሳይመንቱን 30% 30 እንድታገኙ መሆን መቻል አለበት። ባይታችሁ ስሩት። እሺ ይህ ነው ያለኝ። አሁን ልካለሁ አንዱ ነው የሚጀምረው አሳይመንት።
ኢንዲቪዥዋል ነው ቲቸር?
አሳይመንቱ ኢንዲቪዥዋል ነው። በኢሜል አድሬስ ነው የምትልኩልኝ። ስለዚህ እንትንማ ሊሆን አይችልም። በግሩፕም ማለት ሆነ የት ትገናኛላችሁ? በዘመነ ኮሮና በግሩፕ መቼም ሆነ አትችሉም ብዬ ነው አይደል? ስለዚህ ኢንዲቪዥዋል ነው። ብዙ እንትን አይደለም። ሁለተኛው አሳይመንት ነው ምርጫዎች ምናምኖች ነው ያሉት። የመጀመሪያው ነው የሚጻፍ ያለው። ኤኒዌይ ዴድላይን አለው። የሰጠሁት ዴድላይን አለ። ከዚያ ጀምሮ I'm very serious than the word serious itself as far as the time is concerned. Okay? የተሰጠው ዴድላይን አለ። በዴድላይን ላይ እንትን ትላላችሁ። Got it?
Yes.
sir. Yeah. እናንተ ኢሜል አድሬስ ከአሳይመንቱ ጋር አታች ቢደረግልን አሪፍ ነው።
ጥሩ። እሺ አስዋብ አድርጋለሁ። የግድ ነው።
ኦኬ።
Okay. Goodbye. Nice weekend. Stay safe. All of you are potentially the light of the world, so stay safe.
ልዩነት መፍጠር ዓላማችን ነው። ዓለም አቀፍ ተወዳዳሪ መሆን አለባችሁ። የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ ጥራትና ደረጃውን የጠበቀ ስልጠና በመስጠት ብቁ ዜጋ እያፈራን ነው። በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን፣ በበረራ መስተንግዶ፣ በቲኬቲንግና ሪዘርቬሽን፣ በሆቴልና ቱሪዝም ሙያዎች አሰልጥነን ተወዳዳሪ እናደርጎታለን። ኮሌጃችን ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና ከእንግሊዙ ICM ጋር በመተባበር ዓለም አቀፍ ዕውቅና ያለው ስልጠና እየሰጠ ይገኛል። በፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን በበረራ መስተንግዶ የምንሰጣቸው ስልጠና ከኢትዮጵያ ሲቪል አቪዬሽን ባለስልጣን ሙሉ ዕውቅና አለው። አድራሻ ከጎላጉል ታወር 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።